Hey everyone, I'm Justine Connor. I'm here with the Paula Takacs Foundation, and I'm going to be interviewing Doug Sleeper and his wife, Kim. Um, and we're really excited to tell you about his sarcoma journey. So let's get right in. Can you guys both share a little bit about yourselves, where you're from, your family, and what you enjoy doing in your free time?
Sure. Uh, my name is Doug Sleeper. As Justine said, grew up in a small town in northern Maine, a small town called Caribou. Um, moved to Charlotte in 1993, and shortly thereafter, my journey began. We have two boys. They're our pride. Kim.
I grew up in Minnesota and moved to Tampa to go to school, to go to college, and met Doug in Miami in a bank training program. So we moved up here in August of 92, and then the adventure did begin soon after.
Wow, that's when you guys were both saying where you're from. I'm like, wait, how did this happen?
We say Maine, Minnesota, Miami, 3M.
You from
Okay.
3M, right?
I actually graduated from University of Miami, so I lived there for a year
wow.
too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, Doug, take us back to the beginning of your sarcoma journey. It sounds like it started when you moved to Charlotte. When did you first notice something was off, and what led you to seek medical treatment or advice?
Well, Kim will say it started when we went on a golf trip in January of 1993. I was complaining about soreness in my shoulder. I didn't think anything of it. A month later, I went on a hunting trip, and after pulling the trigger probably 50 times with a shotgun, I came away with a welt on my right bicep. Thought it would go away. I thought I just bruised it. Waited a month or so, and the welt hadn't gone away. So I went and saw a local doctor who took a X-ray of the image of the area, and came back in and said, no, "This looks a little interesting. I'm going to refer you to a musculoskeletal oncologist by the name of Jeffrey Niesel." And I honestly, it didn't phase me because I didn't even know what an oncologist was. I called Kim and said, "Yeah, he suggested I see a musculoskeletal oncologist." And she went, "What?" And that's when the journey began, really. We spent some time with Dr. Niesel, and he said it is troubling, and went, suggested we have a biopsy of the area, and came back with the news that it was an osteosarcoma, which, again, I didn't know anything about an osteosarcoma. Began doing a bunch of research, but that was the beginning of our journey.
Got it. Kim,
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, what do you remember about that time, and how did you navigate all of this happening?
I think that the biggest thing that I remember is going in for the biopsy and being in the waiting room and being real strong and thinking, everything will be fine. And when Dr. Niso came out, he looked at me and he said, "It looked worrisome." And I'm like, "Okay, what does that mean?" And I acted, very strong. And he said, "It does look like, it's cancer, and we'll have to talk about the next steps." So then I called my mom and started crying on the phone.
Yeah,
that's what we all do, right?
It's a scary, position to be in, because obviously you think nothing's going on. Like, you just moved here, you're kind of in the bliss of life, and then, oh, hold up, now we're dealing with something like cancer.
Well, and what was interesting, from my perspective, is I didn't feel like there was anything wrong with me.
Yeah.
No, I felt perfectly fine. I just had this bruise on my arm that wouldn't go away.
Yeah, that's so weird that it came up. You said it came up after your hunting, but you never realized anything before that.
Well, as I said, a month earlier, I was doing kind of this
a lot, and I thought something might be the matter when he was golfing that weekend. But
yeah, and obviously as like someone who's active, you're probably just like, oh, I pulled a muscle or something small.
I'm getting older.
Yeah,
I was 32, which ironically, at age 32, we were a unicorn with this disease. It typically affects teenagers
Okay.
when their bones are at peak growing periods. So we spent a fair amount of time in pediatric wards, which
That's
Sitting
interesting.
in
sitting
little
in little
Yeah,
chairs.
chairs.
that's interesting. So once you got the diagnosis, what treatments did you have to go through?
So um, remember, this was 1993. Dr. Niesel had just arrived in Charlotte. Um, we immediately began, consultations with a team. You know, unfortunately, at that time, the team was relatively new, and um, well, the team was relatively inexperienced. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. And after doing a fair amount of research, um, I was able to get an appointment with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Henry Mencken, who's kind of the pioneer in this particular cancer. He pioneered a surgery called limb-salvage surgery, where they replace the bone with a cadaver bone. It's the same thing Dr. Niesel would have done, but the rest of Dr. Niesel's team was still getting their arms underneath, their legs underneath them. So we opted to go to Mass General in Boston. Um, met with Dr. Mencken. He looked at it and proclaimed, "I don't think it's as serious as the folks in Charlotte think. I think we can handle this with a simple surgery. May not even need chemotherapy," which of course was music to our ears.
Yeah.
One of the finest doctors in the world is telling us it's not as serious as the doctors in Charlotte were. Um, Scheduled the surgery for April of 1993.
Good Friday.
Yeah, it was on Good Friday. And 3 days later, he came in and said, "Well, maybe it was a little bit worse than."
This was after the surgery?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said, "I think we'll just go ahead and schedule the chemotherapy,"
Mm.
which we had essentially 22 cycles of
That's a lot.
chemotherapy.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But as he referred to it, it's just, what did he say? Icing.
He said it was icing on a very nice cake. I thought, can we skip the icing, please?
Yeah. We'll just take the cake.
Yeah, but
Funny, not funny.
it worked out. We had our first 3 treatments. We were doing what they call a high dose methotrexate treatment, and we did the first 3 in Boston, and then transferred the protocol to Charlotte, and had the rest of our treatments at CMC in Charlotte with great doctors. To this day, Dr. Niesel is a great friend, and he's done a little follow-up work for me on it. But yeah, it was an interesting journey, just because it was very early in the days of, if this happened to me today, which I don't think it could at my age, I'd be very fortunate to have Levine here in Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because you guys are saying Dr. Niesel in the 1990s, and Amber also, I think, was working with Dr. Niesel in like 2020s. So he's been
Completely
there for
different.
a really long time.
He has. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that long. So coming out of your surgery and treatments, like what was your recovery like, and how did that impact you every day, like your daily life?
Yeah. So the chemotherapy was pretty aggressive. Um, you know, I worked throughout it, but because of the dosage they were giving me of the methotrexate, those treatments all had to be done, in the hospital, inpatient. I'd go for 3 days. They would hydrate me. They'd give me the methotrexate, and then they would essentially give me a drug that was supposed to purge the chemotherapy from me. And everything went quite well. I had one treatment that unfortunately ended with some toxicity that put me in the hospital with a blood clot in my leg, which I wouldn't wish upon anyone.
Yeah, definitely not.
But generally speaking, it all worked out. It worked out fine. I was able to work almost throughout. But Kim will tell you, we spent 100 nights in the hospital.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. I was going to say he's.
I tend to underplay things.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, as far as going back and forth.
That's a third of a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a apparatus to use his right arm to hold it up in place. For how long did you have that?
Yeah,
So we had to cut out all of his Brooks Brothers shirts. But he actually just kept on moving forward, and I just thought, well, if he's going to have such a good attitude, I certainly, can't be Debbie Downer. So,
didn't have a choice.
well, he didn't have a choice, and that's just kind of how you roll. But even, at church and just everyday life, he's just like, I don't have time to say why me, why not me? So
Strong man. I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's so hard when you're coming out with a diagnosis. You don't have a choice. You just have to fight it and be strong and go through it and trust the process.
It was my mantra. She just said it. I would say throughout. Anytime I spend asking why me is wasting precious moments on my recovery.
Yeah. So yeah. So you have to
look forward.
Mentally recover too, as much as physical.
Yep.
Mental part. I think the biggest thing was in the beginning trying to figure out what was the right thing to do. Should we do the chemo? Where should we get the treatments? That was the hardest part. And then while you had a plan, it's like, okay, this is our plan. And then once you're done with your plan and it's finished, then you have to figure out how to get to normal day-to-day life, because you've just not been doing that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, to me, the hardest parts was that beginning process and just, trying to get back into a normal everyday life.
Yeah, I can imagine, because obviously going through chemo and cancer is not what anyone else is going through.
But you just grind through it.
Yep. So who supported you guys through all of this? And I know obviously you had each other, but did you have family? Kim?
No, we did. We both have great families, and they, they're not here, so we were sort of alone here in Charlotte. But my mother was here not throughout, but often. My mother and father both, and Kim's mom and dad as well came and visited, and I don't know, what would you say?
Well, I would say,
and the buffaloes.
Yeah, the buffaloes. So I just decided, I'm not usually one to ask for help, but I decided that I read this book. Somebody gave me Building a Team to Face Life's Challenges, Where the Buffaloes Roam. And it was written by Bob Stone about his cancer journey. But it opened my eyes to just allowing people to help. And he had his team of buffaloes. And so that was in the day where you didn't have the email. So I was literally doing, like, every few weeks a Team Buffalo letter to my family and friends and mailing it.
Wow.
And they would send back, fun things. I asked them, just to send fun things from their travels or buffaloes, or just keep us in their prayers. So we had our team of buffaloes, and we probably got about 8 to 10 buffaloes in our house still. And people will say, do you collect these?
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's a totally different, because that was
our herd.
Kind of before technology. I mean, not all technology, but like
notes.
You were still mailing letters, and I didn't even think about that until you just brought that up. So that brings up a whole different fight or
didn't
battle.
Have social media like you have today.
Or text groups, or what is it? Not the GoFundMe's, but just where people can get on and rally together. We didn't have
support
that
groups.
Then.
Yeah. So it makes things a little bit harder, especially being here by yourself. So I know shortly after you went through treatment and everything, you guys started a family. What was the timeline of all of that?
Well, so I have to think about this now for a second. So 94 is when my final treatments were. We started trying to have children. We, of course, we were told that it might not be possible. So we did bank beforehand. We tried on our own. That wasn't working. But we went through some fertility, and we were successful. Our son Jack was born in 1997. So 3 years later.
3 years later.
He's let's check now, 28.
Yeah.
Just had his 28th birthday in August. And then we had Will.
Well, we had a miscarriage in between.
We did,
That just happened, and but I guess the good news is we did not need fertility treatments for our second child. So we are very grateful for that.
Yeah, we have two great boys.
Oh, that's great. And
We had-
how old is your second one? Now?
Will is 25.
He's
Okay.
Going to be
26,
26,
yeah.
and
Okay.
Jack is 28.
Aw.
Jack just got married.
Oh,
So,
congratulations!
we
That's
are
awesome.
we're a team. We're a team.
Team sleeper, baby.
Team sleeper. Our family
I love
foursome.
it.
Yeah.
Are they still in
They
the
are
area
family
too?
Sort of. Yeah, our oldest got married and married a resident, a person who just graduated from med school, Carly, and her residency is at Ohio State in Columbus, Ohio. So they have a home there, but he works for Wells Fargo here in Charlotte.
Okay.
And so he's back and forth quite a bit, but technically their home is Columbus, Ohio, and the youngest Will is here in Charlotte.
Oh, good. Well, that's nice that he can, if he's traveling, it's like, oh, let me pop in and see my parents too. That's nice.
Or we can visit him and spend 3 nights with him in his house.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what I like.
Yes. Then you can enjoy the cooler weather up there in the summer, or maybe snow if you like snow activities.
Yeah.
One question I didn't ask you about is, do you have any like ongoing wellness routines or healthy habits or things that just kind of help you maintain your well-being? And then also, are you currently doing scans to just make sure everything is okay?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is, I play golf 4 to 5 times. I retired in 2019, and I'm blessed to still have, pretty good health. I don't know how, because
and
I
you're
don't
blessed
work hard
to be
enough at it.
able to. Your arm only goes up this high. So if it was basketball or baseball,
I can't throw a baseball. I can't shoot a basketball, but I can still swing a golf ball.
He could never do any of that with the boys, but he could golf.
So I'm golfing. Okay. I'm golfing probably more than I deserve to, 4 to 5 times a week, and I carry my bag. So
that's a good workout.
Walking 5 to 6 miles with 30 pounds in your
yard.
back, and I work hard I do work. I enjoy our yard, and other household routines. So I managed to stay in reasonably good shape.
That's good. That's important.
You keep up with your annual visits. You just don't have to scan.
Yeah, I don't.
You don't have to do CT scans or anything.
No, it's interesting. And this is something I tell a lot of people going through a similar journey is, you get diagnosed, you get treated, then you have quarterly, in some cases even monthly visits, and then they become quarterly, then they become annual, and then maybe they become every 2 or 3 years. And then you get to a point where it's a distant memory. And, if something takes me, it probably won't be the same thing at this point.
Well, I think it was at your 7 year that we got life insurance regular. So he wasn't, an added risk because of his cancer journey. After 7 years, he was just like you and I would be.
Okay. Yeah.
So no scans.
Okay. I wasn't sure how it worked. Like if you, if they keep it yearly or.
Unless I overdo it on the golf course and have to go see Niesel and say, take a picture in there. I think I might have screwed something up. And he does, and he tells me to stop worrying and get back on the golf course.
Well, I'm glad you have that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Like that definitely, I'm sure helps like your mental well-being. We're going to backtrack a little bit to your banking career. And before you retired, how did your journey with sarcoma affect that? I know you said you were able to work throughout it. Did your work family show up for you, or did it change how you showed up to work every day?
Yes, I would say it did. I was much more. I was always driven, but I always knew I wasn't gonna make work the end all. That I wanted there to be a life beyond work. I retired at 58. Had a lot to do with the cancer journey. We were fortunate I could do it, and people ask me, really 58? You look so young. You could do it. I'm like, I just, maybe I had a different journey than most, but I wasn't gonna, be the guy who took it all the way to the end, grinding. So I think the cancer journey had something to do with that. It also, I think, made me more willing to elevate the people underneath me, knowing that I wasn't going to be there forever,
Mm.
and also recognizing that it takes a village. So my team, my proudest moments were when they had successes, and hopefully they'd say the same thing.
I'm sure they would. Yeah, I love hearing, and not just you, even Amber, who I interviewed last, was telling me the same thing, like just the outlook on life and really just wanting to spend the time more like with your family and not as much career focused.
Yeah.
Which obviously you still had a very successful career, but that's so important because you lose those years with your kids when they go off to college and you're still young at 58. You can do things, you can play golf. And
Yeah. Yeah. No, I it's probably morbid to say, but I often say I did not want to not wake up in a hotel room in some city that I didn't recognize.
yeah, no, I understand. Hmm. Yeah.
So,
And how has life been since he retired for you, or for both of you guys? Do you spend more time together?
cut.
No, it was a huge change. He first of all, back in '93, I was in banking as well, and I had just gotten a new job, and that was hard, kind of getting that support. Not hard getting the support, but I was going back and forth to the hospital.
Yeah.
But moving forward in 2019, he retired on his own, after 35 years. But given 2019, um, that he retired, and then 2020, which we all went through together. So it's been a transition. I mean, we're doing much better now. I can say it's not like we weren't doing well, but 2020 was challenging for everybody.
Oh yeah.
So if you have somebody that is used to traveling and working, a type A driven person, and now we're at home. We had all these plans for 2020, so not woe us, because everybody had plans for 2020, not just us. But I've got to say it took us a couple of years to work through some things.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an adjustment.
Yeah, for everybody.
Even if you're married,
we
or
didn't plan on a pandemic.
Nobody did.
No one did. Definitely not. Well, going into my next question, how did you get involved with Paula Takacs, or how did you find out about us? And then obviously you're serving on the board now.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you got involved with PTF.
So when I retired, I became more more visible at Carmel Country Club, and got to know different groups of people. And as it turned out, the group that I now we spend a lot of time with. A couple of the members of the group's wives have been very active. They knew Paula from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And when Suzanne Levine, one of the board members, heard of my story, because not many people knew, but I back to '93, there wasn't like this big social circle, and I traveled most of the week. If I played golf, it was usually on the weekends with Kim and our boys. So I wasn't real active at the club. But once we became more active at the club, the story got out, and Suzanne heard about it and approached me about joining the board. I was looking for. I wanted to. I didn't. I knew I didn't want to work again, but I knew I wanted to give back, and it just seemed like the perfect opportunity to give back. I mean, a sarcoma survivor, a great grassroots organization. So it was kind of a no-brainer. I teased her a little bit by telling her I'd have to think about it. But no, I was thrilled to be able to give some time back to an organization like Paula Takacs.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy that you guys got connected just through the club. Because like you said, it's not like you're just coming out and saying like, I have sarcoma. So
Yeah,
that
and
was kind of lucky.
her husband Chad and I play a fair amount of golf together, and he heard the story and passed it on to her, and the rest is history.
Great. Well, we're really happy to have you.
Yeah,
And then obviously since then, now you're serving as our chair.
yeah.
This
No,
is
I don't know how I got that. Yeah, I don't know how I got elected for that, but I'm happy to do it. It's been gratifying. I'll tell you, it's been really gratifying watching the organization evolve. I mean, it was a grassroots organization
Mhm.
started by a bunch of very, very close friends of Paula's. Um, you know, over the last few years, we've seen some of the original board members transition. We've seen our executive director transition to a different role. But watching the organization continue through that, a lot of organizations like this uh, have a hard time making that transition.
Mhm.
I feel like we've made that transition well. We're growing the organization, yet we're staying true to the original mission, which is really important to me, and I know it's very important to the rest of the legacy board members.
Mhm.
So it's been it's been very gratifying to watch that transition happen and to be part of it.
No, I agree. We obviously came on at the same time, so I'm feeling all the things that you're saying. You kind of answered my next question, but I did have a follow up on it. What do you hope to see continue or grow in the years ahead with the foundation?
You know, I love the fact that we have now expanded our universe of potential grantees.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot more research that can be done around this particular form of cancer, sarcoma, and the new panel that we've created and the just the interest level that we're seeing for our research dollars, the money that we're raising
Hmm.
is really really gratifying. So the growth in the way we support research, and that is our number one mission, is to support research so that we can find a cure to this disease. um, I'm really excited about the future. We can take this. We want to keep it local. We want to keep it grassroots. But by bringing in organizations or institutions like Duke and UNC and Wake and others, all who are part of the part of this community, is I think a really big and important step for the foundation. And I'm pleased to see the response we're getting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I think all research programs aren't the same, so this is going to give us a lot more variety and a lot allow us to do different studies that will hopefully bring in uh, better outcomes for everything.
Yeah,
So I'm really excited about that
me
too.
too.
So looking back, what advice, quote, personal mantra would you share with someone currently facing sarcoma?
I think I kind of already said it. Maybe I'll add a little bit to it, but don't look back. Don't ask why. Focus focus forward. That time you spend asking why me, is unproductive.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, because it is a little bit of a sort of a shock to the system, but uh, you know, move for attitude has has is such a cure in and of itself. If you can keep a positive attitude, you can do almost anything. And this it's not a I felt along the way that everybody has a cross to bear.
Mhm.
There's things going on in everybody's lives. Sometimes cancer patients are treated as if they have the worst sentence when everybody's dealing with things. And I used to say
Mhm.
that to Kim all the time. I almost felt uncomfortable the way people treat you like you're dying
Yeah.
when I was just focused on the future.
Yeah.
So focused on the future and keep keep the faith.
I love that positive mindset. I think you're right about that can really help your healing process.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to caregivers?
I think that the like-minded community is huge. Just people that have been through what you've been through, which is why PTF is so important, because you can get in there and connect with other people, whether it's the navigation of medical treatments or just families to talk to. So I think that like-minded community is so important because you don't feel so alone.
Yeah, agreed. Everyone's kind of gone through the same thing, and
Yeah,
you can
they just get it from the start.
agree. Yeah. So, last question for you guys. Obviously, you're further out from your journey. What are you guys enjoying doing together now, individually and as a couple? I know you like golf. So anything else?
Well, we do some of that as a we do some
Yeah,
of that
I
as
like
a
golf.
couple.
Okay.
I like golf
She
too.
likes
Oh,
golf too.
good.
She just had a hole
I
in
just
one.
had a hole in one. If anybody wants to
She
talk
had
about
That's
her
that.
third hole in
amazing.
one and the 13th hole in one.
For the family. That's kind of our
We enjoy being with our boys, and a lot of that includes playing golf. I mean, we have
Okay.
a family foursome, and but
We like
in
to
addition
travel.
to that, we love to travel. I very much enjoy working around the backyard here. I cook. We both cook. We're kind of homebodies.
And family is
and
important
family's
to both
important.
That's
both of
good.
us. His family is in Maine, and mine is Minnesota and in Florida, and it's very important that we visit with them. A couple of times a year.
Yeah.
So,
Do you guys have any upcoming travels planned, especially for the holidays?
Well, her mom is still alive and just turned 89.
Wow.
My father is still alive and turned 94.
Okay.
So she's going down. I was just up
sometimes
and visiting
we
my
divide
father.
and conquer. He goes to his dad. I go to my mom.
Mine's in Maine. Hers is in Florida. You can't get further apart.
Yeah.
And then we're hosting Thanksgiving with our son's wife and her family. So we're having the four of us with the four of them together, which we're really looking forward to that.
That's going to be so nice.
Yeah.
Well, great. I'm so excited for you guys.
That's
all my questions that I have for you today. Thank you guys for listening. And
thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is great.
Perfect.
I'm glad you're doing this.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. It really does help. And I guess that's it.
You're welcome.